Indigenous Grandmother Council. I first met Grandmother Agnus about 7 years ago when I invited her to our festival Earth Dance in the West Coast America where I was living. And, you know, it's a big rock and roll festival, but with a very, very deep spiritual message and a very deep intention of the sacred through music and dance and the sacred of community. And Grandmother Agnes said, "I'm coming, for sure." And then that year we brought a group of Indigenous elders together, and that was the first year we had a wisdom council at our event. And every year since then, Grandmother has wanted to come to Earth Dance and has dedicated herself. She is one of the most amazing, powerful women I've met, with the most amazing heart. And just to give you a little idea of how dedicated she is to healing and how dedicated she is to spreading her light and the message and the wisdom of the Indigenous. One year she had a big problem with her hip and she had to have an operation. And I said, "Grandma, you don't need to come this year. Just take a year off. It's okay. You know, we want you to just heal yourself." She goes, "I'm coming. I can't miss it." So we organized this fantastic, like, classic West Coast hippie bus to go and pick her up. And there she rolled into the festival in the back of the bus, a leg in a cask, and she came to the festival. And when I said, "Grandma, we'd like to invite you to Uplift," she said, "Oh, I have to check with my doctor because I'm supposed to be due for an operation, which is supposed to happen around this time." And she convinced her doctor to actually hold it off till January so she could be here with us at Uplift. That's how amazing she is. She didn't want to miss out on this opportunity. And then Grandma Pauline from New Zealand, another amazing elder from the Grandmother Council, one of the 100 women a few years ago that was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. So without further ado, we're going to play a 6-minute part of the movie called For the Next 7 Generations, which is a beautiful movie about the grandmothers and the story of the grandmothers, which actually will be playing tonight at the film festival at Uplift. So if you want to watch it tonight later, please feel free. But while the grandmothers are coming on stage, we're just going to play this first part of this movie. So thank you very much.
The time is now. 13 Indigenous grandmothers from all 4 directions heard these words in prophecy and came together. They were told their Mother Earth was in agony and that they must come forward now to help us heal her and all her inhabitants. They were told that nothing will change unless we change, all of us. They are here to show us the way. Upstate New York, the original homeland of the Iroquois Nation. The grandmothers meet each other for the first time here in this historic place.
My name is Agnus Baker Pilgrim. I was born in a little town called Logston, Oregon, delivered by the midwife who is my grandmother.
Pues mi nombre es Julieta Casimiro.
My name is Julieta Casimiro. My mother-in-law taught me how to use 4 different medicines.
My name is Clara, Shinobu e Yura. E abençoados por poder viver na floresta amazônica.
Inside the forest is such happiness that we have there. We really like to show mankind that this joy and this happiness is possible.
Ama Bombo is the name I gained after I became a healer. At the moment, there is no peace in the world. So the grandmothers are trying to do their best with the power of prayer to help.
My nickname, Bamilwan, means the tail end, because I was born in the tail end of the old ways.
My name is Flor de Mayo. I learned to use the herbs with my mother. My mother was a curandera. Curandera is a female that heals.
Maria Alice Campos Freire. I'm happy to live on the earth, to be in harmony with all creatures.
Je suis Bernadette Rebieno.
I am Bernadette Rebineau.
Je suis enseignante de profession.
I am teacher.
Je suis tradithérapeute.
I am therapist.
Je suis guérisseuse.
I am a healer.
J'ai 23 petits-enfants.
I have 23 grandchildren.
I had my first grandchild 15 years ago, and my aunts remembered the grandmother blessing, so they all ordained me to grandmotherhood.
My sister and I grew up on the Pine Ridge Reservation.
I had 7 boys, and I had 1 daughter.
When I had Al, I almost had him in a teepee in a Native American church ceremony.
My name is Tsiring Troma Kyardon. I came from Tibet.
My name, Palaka, it means the butterfly.
The way the grandmothers see it, our Mother Earth has gifted us with 4 sacred elements to keep us alive and well: water, air, earth, and fire.
I'd like to acknowledge the sacred fire that is here today. There was a time in our lives as Indigenous people that we were walking upon this earth. We didn't have maps. We did not have road signs. Yet we were able to journey. When we felt like we were lost, we would sit down and we would say our prayers in front of this grandma fire. We would be shown the direction to go. All of these grandmothers that have come together in this good way, seeking something good, not only for yourself, but for all of the world. Always respect it, always look to it. Let it be there to help you.
This is a holy time of the day. We greet the grandfather son.
Our native name, Tawaiwi, means morning star.
The Kuksan, Unkaditilik of close knowledge. Oh, Great Spirit, the creator of all, we thank you for surrounding each and every one of us with your love and your protection.
I pray you look down upon us this morning with favor, that we look beautiful in your eyes. We are your grandchildren.
I want to tell you a little bit how all of this has come to be here. It's been almost 20 years ago when the spirits took me and my life and took me on a path that I had no idea was going to take me here tonight.
Jyoti is a spiritual teacher whose vision has brought her into relationship with Indigenous women around the world.
I traveled to Africa. I met Bernadette. I told her this vision I was beginning to have, and I kept seeing the circle of grandmothers.
In 2002, Jyoti came to Gabon, my place. One morning, Jyoti said to me that we must unite.
Je lui ai demandé, est-ce que tu es prête?
And I said to her, are you ready?
Elle me dit oui.
And she said yes.
And I thought, how do you find these grandmothers that are being called this way? But when I went into meditation, that small whispering voice said to me, start always with relations. And through those relations, these 13 grandmothers that represent nations and peoples from all over this world are sitting with you today.
Let us gather around, grandmothers.
In Native tradition, all deliberations take place in a meeting called a council. The meeting is set in a circle so that no one is seated at the head.
My sister and I, we didn't know what we were coming to, and we didn't know how we were supposed to dress or anything. I didn't think that we was going to walk into a council right away. So we were dressed like ranchers. And we went in and...
Good afternoon. It sure makes my heart kind of feel kind of lost because I hear their voices, my sister grandmas. But what a job they have. What a beautiful way they walk their prayer. Each one has walks with a different medicine. But we all recognize each other's ways. And we get along. We accept those ways. For example, when I was in Mapia in South America, where went to the Santa Daime church with our grandma down there. And I said, "Grandfather, I wasn't born with this medicine. I don't know anything about it. But I'm going to join my sister grandma, so you bless me too." I did that with the rest of them also. A beautiful bunch of ladies to walk around the globe, walking their talk, teaching their ways, rippling it out of love. It's overwhelming. It's not a coincidence. As you just saw our grandma, Rita Blumenstein from Alaska, a Yupik. She was 71 years old when we came together in New York. But when she was 9 years old, her grandmother gave her 13 bundles and said, "Someday you will sit on a circle with women." And when we came to New York together, she brought those bundles and gave each one of us one stone and one eagle feather. She kept them all those years. And it was really, really a beautiful thing. We were all crying. And I said, what a validation that the Creator sent her with those 13 bundles to validate what we were doing coming together as grandmothers around the globe. I said, it is time that women stand up all over the globe. We are the natural nurturers. We are the givers of life. We have an invisible umbilical cord to the earth because we care and we love. We love you today, and I'd like you to share with me one of the cheapest medicines we got, and that is laughter. Can we give a big laugh? That is good, because I say when you're laughing, you're up in the sunshine belt. Your body heals and your mind comes along. So tap into your free medicine whenever you get a chance. It's good for your body. And I thank you for having us over here. It's such beautiful land. It's gorgeous over here. I like being over here. I like the feeling I get with all of you that we are a family. We are all connected. And all of the people in this room, we're all concerned about our Earth Mother. And I just think it's a great, great feeling of togetherness, of sharing and caring. God is good. And I really thank you for the opportunity to be amongst you. I am your voice as I journey the globe for all life, and to teach all things are sacred to all of us. So I want to thank you again for this opportunity to be here with the Uplift Gathering in this beautiful festival. And I made a comment today that I would like to see another uplift gathering conference like this in Sydney. What do you think? I think it would be great. I think to take it around the globe and bring it to my land, I think it would be wonderful how that we are together in caring like this. Each one with a different medicine, each one with a different way of caring. And I think that together we could make a better world for the next 7 generations to come. I really believe that. Well, we're going to have raindrops on our head, but water is good. The green needs to drink. And I'll talk to the cloud people after a while and slow them down a bit and pray they'll listen to me. Hey, thank you. Thank you. The plumeria flowers are so good. What a beautiful aroma. I even get those when I'm in Hawaii. It's beautiful. You can sure smell them. Thank you. And now I want you to be able to talk to Grandma Pauline. She's our ambassador from the beautiful land of New Zealand. And we will be hearing from her about the dates we'll be trying to get us over there. And she'll need some financial help, so spread the word around. Takes a lot of money to move us grandmas from one place to the next. But we're worth it. We're worth it, I think. Yeah. I also want to introduce my daughter Nadine that's here with me. She's my middle daughter. She's a grandmother of 4. And my baby is 60 years old, and she's a grandma. And my oldest daughter is a grandma. She's going on 66. My son is a great-great-grandfather that my Creator left me with one son. And so I have a lot of children. I have a lot of great-grandkids in my 5th generation. I always tell them I got enough to sell now. But I love my family. I got a beautiful family. When we come together at our annual powwows in Oregon, I said, I'm one mother that's standing tall because my children walk their talk. And they do good with their lives, and I'm very proud. And so, anybody you want to say something, Nadine?
I'm not the talker in the family, but I'd like to greet each and every one of you. I'd like to thank Uplift for uplifting us here. It's the first time that my mother was able to fly laying down in an airplane, and I'm very thankful for Chris and Angela for helping my mother to do that with her hip out at this time. As I said, I'm on my father's side because in America we can't be both our father and our mother because of the government. I picked my father's side because I'm a salmon slapper, I'm a gill netter, and I can fish and hunt on our reservation for our family and friends for the rest of my life. I have 3 grown children, 2 daughters and a son. And I have 4 grandchildren, and for 2 brief moments I was a great-grandmother, and I'm very honored to acknowledge them even though their feet did not hit the ground. Thank you all that did all this hard work, all the volunteers, all the cooks, all the people behind the scenes. Thank you. It's a very good feeling to be here. I thank the people of this land, and I bring greetings from my tribe, from the Redwoods. And in our land, that's why you are okay. We are Yurok, and that is our saying when we go anywhere. That is why you are okay. Thank you.
Thank you, honey. Oh, you got one. I'm sorry.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I first would like to say hello to our sisters and brothers from Australia for allowing us to be here, even though many thousands of years ago Aotearoa, New Zealand was connected to Australia, but we parted company, so we have an ocean between us. But that doesn't take away the heartbeat between us. So to all those Aboriginals that are here today, thank you for allowing us to walk your land. Being an ambassador to the grandmothers.
Grandma, could I make an announcement, please? I'd like to make an announcement. All of you moms and dads, there's wet children waiting out, and they're corralled together out here. If some of you could go find your children in the rain, they've got them huddled up. Thank you.
I can wait all afternoon while you look at your children, because they are the essence of our generation today for the future. We can wait until you go and have a look and bring your children in and wrap them up in your jacket, keep them dry. Okay, it looks as though the stream is gone. Being an ambassador to the grandmothers in 2006, I was invited to be an ambassador. I wasn't quite sure, along with Princess Constant, what being an ambassador was. But as it's eventuated over the last 6 years, it's been a role of support for the grandmothers. Very interesting time, I have to say, when you're sitting on the wall watching what's going on. The grandmothers are human. They come together with their laughter and with their tears, and with all their stories of pain and happiness and laughter. But of all things, they are a group of women who've come together with their individual roles as creators in their own community. And that's the beauty of the Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers. They've all been active in their community, and the roles each of one of them plays in their travels is the beauty of going to each other's country and sharing, and that's the biggest thing, is sharing their sacred rituals. At this time in our lives and the world, people have lost respect for other people's cultural, spiritual values. And I have seen with the grandmothers that the respect they have for each and every one of them when they do their spiritual and cultural ceremonies before the fire is immense. And I know it's been very impressive to other people who've joined their public gatherings to see this. And Grandmother Agnus, I hope that continues on in that spirit, because we need to actually have the grandmothers around to show how we can gather together and help other people to come back into that world of spiritual and practical resources which they have, each and every one inside them. When I was asked a couple of years ago if we would like to have the grandmothers in Aotearoa, New Zealand, it was a big honour. It took my people a while to really think about whether they could do this. After all, to come into another country with a whole group of other nationalities, I wondered how our people would take that. Our people extended the invitation to the grandmothers to come in 2013. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do it in February, but we will now be doing it in November. And I don't think the grandmothers realised how far away my country was. They're used to travelling from America to Europe and maybe a little bit of South America. But when I said that it's quite an expensive journey to come down to Aotearoa, New Zealand, it was a wake-up call for us to actually go out now and look for the funding. Because it's important for us people in the Pacific. And when I talk of the Pacific, I mean of the South Pacific, Australia and Aotearoa, to actually visibly see the grandmothers. Because unless you see the grandmothers, you don't really understand the soul of the grandmothers. And the soul and the spirit of the grandmother's work is very important to be actually seen. One of the jobs of mine is to encourage others to set up councils of 13 Indigenous grandmothers. I know in Australia, and if anybody is here from the Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers in Australia, please come up and make yourself known. There is one set up here in Australia. 2 have been set up in Hawaii. 1 has been set up in my own country of Aotearoa. So it doesn't stop with these 13 grandmothers like Grandmother Agnus has around her. It is now a multinational event. And what do we get from that? One Hawaiian group of grandmothers said, "We plan to work with our youth." The other one said, "We plan to bring in our men." Now, this is a practical service of what originally started on the one Council of the World Intentional Grandmothers. So, if you're thinking of setting up another council, you can set up as many as you like, because you only have the example of the World Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers to look at, to see that it works. It also brings in the grandfathers and the families. So to you all, thank you for being here today. Thank you for coming and listening to the story, and I hope you purchase the film of the 7 generations for your families to watch, for your schools. Encourage your governments to buy it and put it in the schools. Kia ora koutou katoa. Thank you.
Thank you, Grandma Pauline. We're looking forward to going to her land. She's still trying to raise funds, and if anybody around can help her with that, that would be great. We're going to take time from Q&A here. Has anybody got questions? Maybe somebody could run around with a microphone to you, and we'll take some time out for some questions, and I'll try my best to answer them. Huh? Yeah, and Grandma Pauline too. Okay, because somebody can run a microphone over the lady over here. We got some live microphones back there. Here comes Angela with the microphone. Over there, Angela. Thank you, honey.
Thank you, grandmothers, for coming here. It really means a lot to me. And I just want to share with you that for a few years, through the grapevine, community grapevine, people have been talking about you and your work. And I've only just seen the film. I just purchased it and hope that other people do too. And I would like to ask permission to be able to use the film to have community screenings to help raise the money for the grandmothers to come to New Zealand, and also to bring some Aboriginal women from this land to the gathering in New Zealand, if it's possible.
Yes, our invitation from Aotearoa is for any person can register, and the registrations will be open sometime halfway through next year. Aboriginals or non-Aboriginals, whoever wants to hear the message of the grandmothers are welcome in our country. If you want to buy our DVD,
you can get a hold of the Laughing Willow Company in New York. Our producer Carol Hart has copies of that. Maybe you can pick it up on the net to get them.
Good afternoon. I just want to introduce myself to you as Bertha Capine, Bundjalung person and chairperson of the Bundjalung Elders Council here in Lismore. It's quite an honour for me to be speaking to you. As a grandmother of about 34, 35, and it's indeed an honour to be speaking to you and sharing the things that you share. All right.
Thank you, grandmother.
I've sort of wanted to say something to you, and just to introduce myself and let you know that we do have in Lismore the Bundjalung Elders Council, which has been in existence for about 24 years now. We are not a funded council, but we keep going. And so money's not everything, and we will do our best to get over there to New Zealand for your conference. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Grandmother. I believe that you have a funding agency in Australia that would look at that, and that's called Oz Australia. So I would suggest you go to your Minister of Oz Australia and look for some funding from them to get to our country. Thank you.
Over there. She's coming.
First, I just want to say thank you for being here and just holding the space for the shift with all of us. The reason I raised my hand is because in 2009, I was called to come to Australia and was here for about a year. And I met a woman, her name was Lynn Pierce. She's a grandmother, and she's been teaching the 13 Indigenous truths for many, 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 many years.
Tell me what she said.
And right now, I came here because I felt a calling to come here, but also to see her because she's in transition. She's moving into transition, unless some magic or miracle happens here. But she's been teaching this, and after meeting with her, I had a vision. And the vision was that, and I didn't even know anything about 2012 at that time, but the vision was a gathering of nations, and that somehow I would be part of that, and that she was the carrier of this vision. And I just want to just put it out here that we could hold space for her with you, that she is of this nation. And my intention is, I tried to see if she could come here, but she wasn't well enough. So that I could go from this place and bring this energy and your voice to her, but that she's been holding this in her heart for many, 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 many years. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I pray that your words now, the Creator can carry them to her, and may the Creator touch her and lift her up as we speak. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? I don't know how much time we've got. Chris, where are you, honey? What?
I'd like to say something after.
Okay.
35 minutes to go.
Oh. Have we ran out of questions?
No, we have one over here, Grandmother. You have about half an hour.
Thank you for being here. I particularly wanted to ask Grandmother Pauline about your experience in working for peace in New Zealand. and to ask you more specifically, if you had the magic wand to make it happen, what would you do?
I think you have to come to my next workshop and give me time to think. Peace is not something that you can make happen. Peace comes with the desire and the belief that all of us can live peacefully together. To make it happen, we have to get rid of the threat of weapons. You know, when you bring a family up, you never threaten a child to do something to them if they don't do something that you would like them to do, which is right. Well, the same thing with peace. The holding weapons over the head of one country and another will not bring peace. We need to do away with all weaponry and believe that dialogue and coming together like people at Uplift here, we can make peace happen. And if people have that one mind and the one thought, then peace will happen. But it starts with you and your desire and your belief and your trust in humanity. And it will happen one day. I know it will happen because I believe it will happen.
Thank you, Graham.
Thank you. The other part to that question is, why am I working for peace? When I had sent most of my children during the Vietnam War in the mid-60s, it woke me up to what I was having to deal with children, 4 or 5 children during the Vietnam War. And I thought to myself, am I responsible for the killing off of children in another land and my cousins going to war to kill them off and spraying them with 2,4,5-T? That began my journey of peace, openly, even though I had always thought being peaceful was a way of living. My children have been my inspiration for peace, because how can I live in a world with 51 grandchildren, 7 great-grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild, if I haven't taken that first step for peace? And entering war zones, like going into Iraq, going into the Mexican rebellion, where young men were fighting each other, being supplied by rifles with Russia on one side and the rifles with the US on the other. I could not see that that was a peaceful way of bringing children. So that is really the reason why I have walked the path of the peace throughout the world.
Thank you, Grandma. I'm journeying for peace also, ever since way before I become this international grandmother. Because I have a lot of grandsons and great-grandsons and great-great-grandsons that I don't want a war to come and then have to teach my children how to kill. I don't like that. And I pray that it won't happen to them. So I keep going around expounding about peace. Peace begins with me. And I hope you could say that. Peace begins with me. So I keep spreading it around the globe as I journey. And I'm praying to God and our Great Spirit that the wars could stop, so that our children and our sons won't have to learn how to kill. Any more questions? Right here in front.
Sorry, I've got the microphone. I wanted to ask you, I am a grandmother, and hello, there I am.
I see you now. All right, thank you, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I have been really looking forward to seeing you both, because I followed you on the internet and everything you've been doing. And I started a grandmother's group about a year ago. And as I'd never started one, I thought that I would just see what happened. And I felt I needed an intention. And I think it fell apart because my intention was differently from the others, who basically wanted to have conversation and sit there. And my intention was actually to achieve something. And when Grandmother Pauline was saying about the grandmothers group in Hawaii, where you were saying one is working with the youth, and so there is an intention. And so I would like to start another group from the grandmothers, with grandmothers, and I kind of just like to know how would I go about it to actually make it successful, that I would set that intention. What do I do?
To have a grandmother's group?
I do have a grandmother's group, but I wanted one that actually sets an intention for the community to do something. And I don't quite know how to go about it.
Well, from my perspective, if you have an intention, you have an intention. And I say those three words very clearly. To start a group, you need to change it from you have an intention to we have an intention. We need to bring others in to start with us. And that's the crux of any group. But especially when we want to start something new, we must empower everybody to be a part of an intention without setting out any rules and regulations, listening to each other, talking to each other, and then it will be successful. I wouldn't give up trying. Maybe the idea is to say, how can we in our community start a grandmother's group? And I know that that will be successful. Kia ora.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's a lot that elders can do in a community, you know, that especially grandmothers. They are the wisdom keepers, and they could do things like, you know, help starting up a youth group against this fracking. You could do that. You could support the young people. You could go into schools and work with the youth. You could go to places where our youth are at risk, where children are getting abused, where women are getting abused. We could stop this if us women stick together on these things. It's not an accepted behavior in any community, abuse. So the grandmothers can do a lot of things. There's a hand going way over there.
Thank you, Grandmother. Good afternoon. My name is Nanette. I have been very blessed in my life to have received teachings from Indigenous elders of both Australia and Hawaii in a couple of workshops that were run in the late 80s and early 90s. I'm very blessed, and I'm very deeply connected to the earth and the Earth Mother. I feel her, and I go where she asks me to go, basically. I work with her. I'm very blessed to do that. I would never have been able to do that if I had not received those teachings. It did change my life, and the peace that I have with being me in Western society, working in the mainstream area, but still being connected to the earth and being a servant for the Mother, I can't really explain what that peace gives me, but it's just beautiful. And I would wish that for every person in the same culture that I come from, because we have been so disconnected. We come from all the lands of the earth. We come from disjointed lineages. We come from lineages that have forgotten their teachings or have just been scattered, as our culture tried to do with the Indigenous cultures. And so, may I ask for your wisdom? I have received teaching from Auntie Margot Weir, who is a Bundjalung elder, so I'm speaking in her country and I honour her for that. So as I ask you this question, I honour her as well. Would you please give us your voices to give some knowledge to the people here on how they might ask for help and some of those teachings from the Indigenous peoples of the world? Thank you.
I have a bit of concern when you say that only Indigenous peoples have the wisdom. You said a word that you've lost something. There's no such word as lost in an Indigenous language. It may be sleeping. For those people who say they're non-Indigenous, if you go back into your history, you will find many so-called Western cultures have also a very strong link to Indigenous world. You only have to look at the historical world workings, how different people have conquered each other through the thousands of years. And it's their culture and their Indigenous ways of humanity has slept for many hundreds of years. Go back and you can pull those things out. You'll learn the lessons of your forefathers. As I travel, I find the Irish are very much attuned to Indigenous cultures of my people. The Scottish clans are so similar. The French in the northern part of France, they are very Celtic. So I have a little problem sometimes when they say only Indigenous cultures, because Indigenous has been resurrected for over the 500 years of the conquest of the world by Europeans. But pre that, there were many cultures being attacked and had Indigenous ways. So don't ever say you've lost it. It's just dormant. You've got to go out there and wake it up and make it happen.
Okay. Thank you, Grandma. You look at our schedule in our pamphlet here. Everybody's come from everywhere. We're pretty well represented around the globe. And I think it's great that people are coming out of the woodwork wanting to do something. People with wonderful, very affluent, with the knowledge to go forward and wanting to help. I think it's great. I don't care who they are, but they're coming aboard wanting to do something to help. I have grandma groups going all over the country. Just because you're getting gray-headed, don't let your kids put you out to pasture. Yeah, because you could do a lot for a community. And I need a pair of roller skates to keep up. Is there any other questions?
Hi. In the middle, I'd just like to say thank you to start with. And I'm just going to pass this around if anyone would like to make some donations to help the gathering happen.
Hey, thank you.
So it's going to be passing through the crowd, and whoever ends up with it at the end, if it could go maybe to the site office table that's sitting in the foyer. Oh, if you could bring it to the front there. It's just important that the basket comes back as well as the money, because it's very precious. So thank you, and this will be passing around. Thanks.
Grandma Pauline came over here with $5.
They've been trying to take me to spend money at the shops. I said, I don't go shopping. I have $5 and I don't intend to waste it in a shop. But look, I have a word for the grandfathers here. Please, I have a little small group somewhere around the world of men who are a little bit scared to say they want to form a grandfather's group, but they are a grandfather's group. So you men out there, come alongside and start grandfathers groups, because what is lacking with our teenagers is having the men to show the example how to grow up. after all, it is the man who plants the seed in the womb of a woman. The woman bears the child and takes them as they nurture. So you can't do with one without the other.
Thank you, Gran. There is a group circling the globe of grandfathers that call themselves the mankind. And they're quite a group. How many grandparents are in this room?
Whilst you're thinking, I'm
and
going
the rest of you are elders in training.
I want to tell you a story about the grandmothers, what happened in Alaska. And this is the strength and the beauty of having grandmothers international, of Indigenous women. We were sitting by the fire one night and I saw all these little eyes in the bushes, and I said to somebody who was sitting next to me, gee, it feels a bit uncanny round here. I'm not quite sure that I'm au fait with what I'm seeing. It looks like eyes piercing, and it was late at night. And I said to this young girl from Brazil, I said, I'm really worried what I'm seeing. Are we being sized up, or are they sizing you up? Well, it came about that those eyes in the bushes were returned servicemen and women from Afghanistan and Iraq. They had come back. Nobody was caring for them. And when they saw the fire and the grandmothers and they're hearing their prayers, hiding in the bushes, it was such a wonderful feeling. Afterwards, the grandmothers invited them, and remember, to the final night, just especially for these returned servicemen and women who were suffering mental trauma from the war. I heard back about a year later that many of these people had gone to seek help who would never have sought help. They were sniffing bags, and I'm talking about people in their 30s, 40s and 50s. That's what the work of the grandmothers is all about.
Even when I'm not traveling, I work hard at my home in my state. I travel all over, trying my best to encourage people like you to climb aboard, be a voice. In my state right now, there's over 200 species of life that's gone of our animal kingdom. You multiply that by all the other states, and to me, that's frightening. Bees are disappearing, and we need the bees. Some of the birds are going away. And so we need to do a better thing taking care of our land. I've been down in the Everglades with the Seminole Indians where they're drying up the swamp, wanting to build condominiums. They care less about the animals. And I went down there and I said, it isn't right. The crocodiles, they had canals for them to live in, and they were crawling out and crawling on the highways and getting run over. And I said, it isn't right. They have a right for their own habitat. All of those animals down there in the Everglades. So I worked hard, even way down there, to try to stop and put some balance to things. And now I'm trying to fight to try to stop the plastic that's out in the ocean. Have you heard of it? And it's bad, it's disintegrating and killing wildlife. And so I'm fighting a lot of things and working hard to bring back the condors, not only to Oregon, but to the Yurok people in Northern California, that they have a song that they want to continue to sing for the condors, so they'd like to have them home to put that into their earth renewal songs. So I want the condors to come back, so I'm fighting lead and bullets. And I want that to stop too. And so there's a lot of things that has my concern in my state that I keep always thumping people about telling them, don't stop, you keep on, take care of this, take care of that. If we want to live, we all got to be that way. Us as adults, it's the children that own the world, not us adults. We got to take better care of it for them so that they can grow up and be gray-headed like us. Any more questions?
Grandmother Agnes and Grandmother Pauline, I do not have a question, but I have been guided strongly to speak this. I feel it is in the hearts of everyone that is here this day how truly honoured and humbled we are for you, both of you, to travel here to speak at this time at this Uplift Festival. And I'm just so honoured, so humbled. I had tears in my eyes yesterday, and I'm sure everyone here is. And I'd just like to see everyone in this room put your hand, your left hand on your heart, and just send all our love to these grandmothers, because you are such an inspiration to everyone. And as the Hopi say, when the grandmothers speak into the sacred fire, peace comes to our earth, to our Mother Earth. And we thank you, we thank you, we thank you. Blessings, and thank you for this journey.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful words, Sonny. Thanks.
I'd like to say just a couple of words to the children. You are the ones that we are looking to teach some of us how to be sustainable. And I'm ever grateful to my little school in my peninsula of 60 children. They won throughout New Zealand an environmental prize for cleaning up the beaches, for making sure that the wetlands were looked after. And they've learnt that because they actually wanted to make it a better world. They had seen what we hadn't done, and they picked that up. And the Mahia school children have been such a wonderful inspiration in the community. So you children can be the leaders and are the leaders, not tomorrow, but at this time on. So to the children, thank you, those that have come here with their parents. Thank you, the parents, for bringing them here. And thank you to Uplift for doing a wonderful job of creating this conference. Like Grandmother Agnes, I hope it goes right throughout the world.
Thank you, Lolo. I'd like to say, too, that my daughter sitting here has 2 grandchildren. She's got 4, but the 2 that's in high school where we live, her granddaughter, Chantel, is our girl youth ambassador. And then her brother, before we gathered in Montana this year in July, he came to me. He calls me Gigi because the 2 G's stands for great grandma. And he calls her grandma, my daughter. So he come to me and he said, Gigi, why is it just girls get to be ambassador to you grandmas? Why can't boys be ambassadors? I said, that's a good question. I said, you know, as I am your great-gram, I accept you because you do good in school, you're good in sports, you're good to your mom, you got a good heart. I would accept you, but you know what? I can't answer for the grandmas. So what I did was I rented a Lincoln Navigator, a big van, and Nadine and I and her daughter and her daughter's son who wanted to be the youth. And so I took them back to Montana. Did you know that we never coached that young man what to say to address the grandmas? He got up and talked, and I cried. I looked at his grandma. She was crying. I looked at his mother, She was crying. He spoke so spiritually from his heart of why he wanted to be a youth ambassador to us international grandmothers. It was overwhelming. I was so proud. And then he sang a song in his tribe's language. And the grandmas gave him a standing ovation. And so now he is our young man, youth ambassador, and he's 14 years old. He's taller than me. And I'm proud.
Grandmothers, I'd like to welcome you to Australia. My name is Amrita, and I suffered the misfortune of being born in England. When I was conceived, my mother and father were going to have a £10 passage to Australia, and I think I popped into her womb believing that she was on her way here. And I got here when I was 28. I feel that I belong here. I can't say that I'm an Aboriginal, but I feel Indigenous here. And I've worked with rites of passage with young people, bringing culturally appropriate rites of passage to our young people. And my question is, in honour of your Indigenousness, where do I fit? Where's my Indigenousness? I wish to be... my hair was more silver than it is now. It's getting brown again, but I'm going to be a silver-haired one also. And where's my... I'm asking you because I want to hear what you have to say, and I want everyone to hear where's our Indigenousness.
Where are you from?
Where am I from, really?
Well, I think you're sitting right close to some elders, aren't you? Right there.
The question why I asked that is, where are you from originally before you came to Australia?
Well, I was born in England, and before that I came from where we all came from.
Well, if you go back far enough, you'll see your Celtic tradition is still, before the Romans came, was in England. So you have an Indigenous tradition. So take that and bring it here, and that wisdom will grow with you here.
So see, we're all connected. Seriously. Yeah. If nothing else connects us, the water inside of us does. The water inside of me talks to the water inside of Grandma Pauline, to my daughter. Yeah.
Hello, grandmothers. I'm just here in the front. Right here.
Oh.
I just want to know, is there a teaching connected to the 7 generations? What is the significance of 7 that you talk about, the importance of the 7 generations?
That's your question. What is, how did
why 7?
How did you come about 7 generations? Why did you call it 7 generations?
Well, it's in all traditions, 7 generations. You ever read that in school?
This lady wants to know.
You are a part of 7 generations. We all are. And we're praying for those 7 generations ahead, the unborn. Okay? 5 minutes. To be able to walk in the beauty that we have here today. The unborn. It is our job to try to preserve this land for them. Of all people. Of all. And that's our responsibility.
Grandmothers, my name is Sobi from Vancouver. I was at the Montana gathering, and it was a wonderful experience being there, so it's great to see you again. The woman who just spoke about, she mentioned rites of passage, And I'm wondering if you could share, either of you, some words with us about how this might be helpful for us to consider the reintroduction or the renewal of rites of passage during this time in our lives.
Okay. You know, that was pretty prevalent when we were younger, the rites of passage for a young girl to womanhood, and for young boys into puberty and on to be men. There was quite a ritual always done for the young people. And the virgins, a long time ago, was a society within a society, guarded and loved, and they were sacred. And I think it needs to come back to those kinds of ways for us to treat our children so reverently with those rites of passage. What do you think?
You finished?
Go ahead. Sure.
One of the first rites of passage that we have in our family as a Māori is to take the child not long after it's been born to it's a river where it comes, the water is theirs. And we put them in the water, we bless them, and then we take them out. And then they have another, sometime along the line, they have a European blessing or christening. But that is the first rite of passage, is to be put back into the water, into the sea, so that they know that that water is a very special thing to them. It is a sacred water for us. So that is a very simple rite of passage, and it's the first one that they ever take.
Okay. I think this is it, huh? 4 o'clock. But anyway, I really do thank everybody for doing what you're doing, just for being here. God bless you. Appreciate it. You know, we're all walking together, sharing together and caring together, and that's the way it should be. Don't you think? Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless each and every one. God bless our children, our elders, our givers of life, our men folk. God bless you. We need all of you so badly. So great. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much for Grandma Aggie, for Grandma Pauline, and for Grandma Nadine. And we're going to, please remember that tomorrow at 6 a.m., the grandmas, these amazing, beautiful grandmas, are going to be with us at the sunrise ceremony, welcoming the sun on Main Beach in Byron Bay. And we will be joined by Arakwal elders and by other guest elders and grandmas coming and joining us all in the blessings for the new sun, for the new day that is rising. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., Main Beach, Byron Bay. Our next elder that is going to come to this stage is an incredible human being. I was fortunate enough to record his story some years ago, and him reciting the story of his life. This incredible man is a living example of how ancient wisdom and the ancient ways are sustainable and can thrive, not only survive, the atrocities that the modern world put onto indigenous culture in this land. When I first came to Australia 10 years ago, I had no clue what really happened here. I had a vague idea, like in most indigenous, or like whereas in most indigenous cultures around the world, white men coming, neglecting and not validating and not recognizing and acknowledging the native culture. So I was aware of that, but I wasn't aware of the extent, and I wasn't aware of the stolen generation and what it meant. And after being here for some years,